an extraordinary cultural flowering was preparing. From all over the empire, men came to live in Vienna, and there they worked, often in obscurity, but also in peace. It was the age of great doctors, thinkers, and above all, musicians. The mood set by Brahms was developed by the Austrian Bruckner, carried to its limits by Mahler, and exploded in Bartók and the revolutionary Schoenberg. In the midst of all this activity, Franz Joseph worked. On his shoulders alone rested the whole vast complex of an empire approaching its end. He lived for his rare moments with Elizabeth, but she was as far away as ever, now in love with Greece and the poetry of Heine. Their son Rudolf had grown into a young man of immense charm, but at odds with his father about everything, he became involved in dubious political intrigues. At 22, he married Stephanie, daughter of the Belgian king. But she was a dull girl with a narrow outlook, and the marriage was a disaster. Gradually, he plunged into dissipation, lacking the strength of character to sustain his liberal ideas. But Franz Joseph's worries stretched far beyond the frontiers of family and empire. In 1878, Austria had been authorized to occupy and administer the primitive mountain provinces of Bosnia-Herzegovina, inhabited by a mixture of Serbs and Croats. It was a move by the powers to curtail Russian influence in the Balkans, where the decay of Turkish power had created a dangerous vacuum. It was to be the fatal first step in Austria's conflict with Serbia. Franz Joseph had one real consolation during these difficult and lonely years. At the splendid Burgtheater, he'd noticed a charming young actress, Katharina Schratt. It was Elizabeth who brought them together, and over the years did her utmost to protect them from all scandal. Whenever he could, Franz Joseph now escaped to Ischl and the peace of the mountains. The Kaiser Villa had been a wedding present from his parents, but only now, with Katharina Schratt, did he glimpse the domestic happiness denied him all his life. Now, as always, his one relaxation was shooting. His son Rudolf shared this passion. On the edge of the Vienna woods at Meierling, he had his own hunting lodge. One dreadful January morning, the Crown Prince was found shot through the head. He had killed his mistress, Marie Wetzera, and then 6 hours later had fulfilled his part of the suicide pact and shot himself. Franz Joseph was the emperor until the last moment of the funeral. In the vault, he broke down and wept. Both parents had failed their son and knew it. Denied any insight into the affairs of government by his father and virtually abandoned by his mother, Rudolf's brilliance had run wild. Like her, he had chosen flight. The emperor, as so often before, took refuge in his simple sense of duty. He loathed the new heir, his nephew, Franz Ferdinand, suspicious, rough, but warm-hearted. In the Belvedere Palace above Vienna, Franz Ferdinand set up a sort of shadow cabinet. Often better informed than the emperor himself, he was full of new ideas to achieve real equality for all the races of the empire under the imperial crown. But Franz Joseph, now in his 60s, was becoming set in his ways. He was also very tired. In 1898 came the final blow. Elizabeth was stabbed to death by an Italian anarchist on the quayside at Geneva. Franz Joseph bowed to fate. God, he said, has spared me nothing. He saw the 19th century end amid grief for Elizabeth's death and a loneliness deepened by the desertion of his one friend, Katharina Schratt. To the 20th century, he was now